Eleanor Vance, a 67-year-old widow whose hands trembled not just from arthritis, but from the weight of a yellow envelope she had carried like a second heart for 13 years, sat in the third row of courtroom 4B, the same oak-paneled chamber where she had once obtained legal guardianship of her 3 grandchildren without ever imagining she would return to defend it. The judge's gavel cracked like a bone snapping in the silence, and Eleanor's spine straightened as if the sound had traveled through time to remind her of every sleepless night, every feverish forehead cooled with a damp cloth, every school play where she clapped alone in the audience. Across the aisle sat her daughter Valerie, 39 now, hair dyed a sleek auburn that could not hide the tremor in her lower lip, flanked by attorney Mark Sullivan, whose polished shoes clicked nervously against the floor whenever Valerie whispered something frantic. Valerie's voice, when she spoke, was a blade wrapped in velvet. "Your Honor, my mother kidnapped my children. 13 years ago, I was hospitalized for severe postpartum depression. I needed temporary help, not permanent exile." The word kidnapped lodged in Eleanor's throat like a fishbone. She looked back at the gallery. Arthur, 20, tall and quiet, his scholarship letter folded in his pocket like a talisman. Emily, 18, clutching a poetry notebook whose margins were filled with metaphors about roots and storms. Andrea, 16, twisting the guitar pick necklace Eleanor had bought her after the school talent show. Their faces were pale, but their eyes held the same fierce clarity Eleanor had seen the day they arrived on her doorstep, dirty, hungry, and abandoned. Judge Theodore Mason, gray-haired and soft-spoken, leaned forward. "Mrs. Vance, Eleanor, what do you have to say?" Eleanor's fingers tightened on the envelope. "Your Honor, I didn't kidnap anyone. I raised the children my daughter left on my porch like unwanted laundry." Valerie shot to her feet. "Lie! I was sick." Sullivan placed a calming hand on her arm, but the damage was done. The courtroom buzzed. Eleanor continued, voice steady as the chamomile tea she still brewed every evening. "I have proof of what really happened, proof of why my daughter vanished for 13 years, and why she's suddenly here, with a lawyer and a hunger that has nothing to do with motherhood." She raised the envelope. Valerie's eyes widened. Sullivan's pen froze mid-note. The judge extended a hand. "Approach." What follows is not a summary, but the full, unhurried truth Eleanor laid bare that day, and the longer, slower truth that unfolded in the months and years after. It was a Tuesday, the kind of rain that turned the gutters into rivers and the sky the color of old pewter. Eleanor, 54 then, had just returned from a rheumatologist who confirmed her arthritis was worsening. The doctor's words still echoed, "Manage your stress," when the knocking started. She opened the door to Valerie, soaked, eyes wild, dragging 3 children whose shoes squelched. Arthur, 7, carried a plastic dinosaur missing an arm. Emily, 5, clutched a stained blanket. Andrea, 3, wailed around a pacifier crusted with milk. Valerie thrust a trash bag at Eleanor. "Mom, I need you to keep them. Just a few weeks. I'm drowning." Eleanor smelled alcohol beneath the rain, saw the tremor in Valerie's hands, the way she wouldn't meet her eyes. "What problems, Val? Talk to me." Valerie's answer was a taxi door slamming. The children ran to the window, tiny palms fogging the glass, screaming, "Mommy!" as taillights disappeared. That night, Arthur wet the bed for the first time in 2 years. Emily stopped speaking. Andrea's cough sounded like a broken music box. Eleanor's pension was $1,142 a month. Suddenly, it had to stretch across 4 mouths. She sold her mother's sapphire ring for $800, took weekend cleaning jobs at the law offices downtown, left the children with neighbor Elma Jensen, Judge Mason's sister, though Eleanor didn't know it then. She kept a notebook. October 15, Arthur fever 102. Children's Tylenol $9.87. October 18, Emily speech therapy eval, $150. Insurance denied. November 3, Andrea new shoes, $24.99. She photographed the children the first night, Arthur's torn knees, Emily's matted hair, Andrea's diaper rash like a map of neglect. Not for court, but because the nurse at the free clinic said, "Document everything, ma'am, just in case." Those photos would later make Valerie's lawyer pale. 3 weeks later, a letter in Valerie's looping cursive arrived postmarked Phoenix. Mom, I met someone. Javier. He's good to me. He doesn't want kids right now. Keep them a bit longer. I'll send money when I can. No money ever came. A second letter, 4 months later. I'm pregnant. Javier says if I bring baggage, he'll leave. Please understand. A third, postmarked Tucson. Sign the enclosed papers. Renounce claims to me. $500 for your trouble. I need a clean start. Eleanor wrote back on the back of a grocery receipt. I don't want your money. If you leave them forever. Don't come back unless you're ready to be their mother. The final letter, dated October 15, 2011, was found 2 years later in a box Valerie abandoned when she skipped rent. Mom, it's fine. I won't bother you. Take care of them. Tell them I went far away for work. V. Eleanor folded it into the yellow envelope and never spoke of it again. In 2014, Andrea's pneumonia required parental consent for treatment. The hospital social worker said, "We need the mother." Eleanor hired attorney Clara Nguyen with her last $800 savings. Notices were published in the Tucson Citizen and Phoenix New Times. Valerie Vance, whereabouts known, respond within 30 days. Crickets. On June 12, 2015, Judge Harland granted temporary guardianship. In 2018, it became permanent. Valerie never appeared. Uncle Arthur Vance, Eleanor's brother, a childless oil engineer in Midland, Texas, died in March 2025 at 72. His will, probated in June, left $50,000 to each grandchild, payable at 21 or through a direct relative guardian. Eleanor, as legal guardian, began the paperwork. On July 10th, Valerie's attorney Sullivan filed for custody in the same courthouse. Eleanor presented 1. Arrival photos, Arthur's holy shoes, Emily's crusted cheeks, Andrea's rash. 2. Valerie's 4 letters, including the renunciation. 3. Landlady Paula Sterling's affidavit. Valerie asked for paper October 15, 2011, seemed lucid, left the box when she skipped rent. 4. Eleanor's expense ledger, 13 years of receipts. 5. Private investigator Maya Ortiz's report. Javier unemployed since January 2025. Eviction filed April. 32,000 credit card debt. Sullivan retained July 8th. 6. Text messages. 50-50 or I take everything. 7. Paul Dawson's school records. Valerie attended every parent-teacher night. Arthur testified first. I remember the smell of Grandma's chicken soup. I remember Valerie crying in bed while we fed ourselves cereal with water. I remember Grandma selling her ring so I could play soccer. I'm 20. I choose her. Emily. She learned to test my blood sugar at 2 a.m. when I was 14. Valerie is a stranger who shares my DNA. Andrea. I was scared she'd leave again. Grandma never did. Valerie's defense crumbled. Medical records showed discharge from psychiatric care August 2011, stable, no danger. Marriage license to Javier, December 20th, 2011. Paul's birth certificate, June 2012. The renunciation, though not notarized, was witnessed by Paula Sterling and corroborated by Valerie's own letters. Valerie cornered Eleanor by the vending machines. Mom, we can share. You visit, I manage the money. Eleanor cut her off. You think love is a timeshare? Valerie whispered, Javier will leave if I come home empty-handed. Eleanor's heart cracked, but her voice didn't. Then learn to live without a man's approval. That's the first step to deserving them. Judge Mason's voice was grave. The renunciation is valid under Arizona common law as a clear intent to relinquish parental rights. The extortionate texts constitute felony attempted theft by threat. Custody demand denied. Permanent guardianship to Eleanor Vance. 5-year restraining order. Case referred to DA. Charges waived at Mrs. Vance's request. Valerie collapsed. Sullivan looked ill. The apartment. Javier left, taking Paul and the TV. Valerie's apartment smelled of bleach and despair. Eleanor arrived unannounced with groceries. Rice, beans, a whole chicken, a note. You are still my daughter. Hunger isn't punishment. Valerie sobbed into the rice bag. I lost everything. Eleanor,
You lost what you never fought for. Start fighting for yourself. Valerie, therapy twice weekly. Receptionist 9 to 5. 30 pounds regained. No violations of the order. She sent Eleanor a card on Mother's Day. I'm learning to be the mother I never was. No expectations. V. Eleanor planted tomatoes in the backyard. Arthur graduated summa cum laude, gave Eleanor $10,000, interest on 13 years of love. Emily published her first poem in Rattle. Andrea's band won regionals. The letter Andrea wrote but never sent. Dear Valerie, Grandma says forgiveness isn't a door you knock on, it's a garden you tend. I'm 18 now. I play guitar in a band called Root System. I have a half-brother I've never met. Maybe one day I'll want to know you. Maybe not. Either way, Grandma taught me love doesn't keep score.